Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Johnston and I'm going to be teaching you about EFT tapping today. What is EFT tapping? EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's a method people use to manage emotions, lower stress, relieve anxiety, reduce pain, and many other applications. EFT tapping, or tapping for short, is called that because of the actions you use in this technique. You use your fingertips to tap on particular points on your body, like the hand, head, and torso. These are the same points that we use in acupuncture. I like to have visuals, so here's a quick look at the tapping points. EFT was inspired by acupuncture and putting pressure on meridian points on the body. Acupuncture was developed in China over 3,000 years ago. Then along came a psychologist in 1970 called Dr. Roger Callahan. He was the creator of TFT, or thought field therapy. He was dissatisfied with the traditional psychotherapeutic models available to him, so he started studying kinesiology and other Eastern health practices, including tapping. In 1980, Callahan's work was driven by a patient of his suffering with a pretty severe phobia of water. He had exhausted all other conventional methods, and nothing had brought her relief. Callahan experimented with tapping techniques focused on a pressure point associated with fear and worry. To his amazement, it worked. His patient was able to permanently eliminate her phobia. Dr. Callahan dedicated the next 10 years to further his TFT therapy, and he created a different series of tapping for specific issues. Then entered Gary Craig, who studied TFT at Stanford, and he developed a simplified process to TFT and created the tapping process we now know as EFT. So can tapping a few specific places on your body really help ease pain and manage stress? There is promising research emerging proving that it does work. In 2022, there was a review of more than 50 research studies on EFT. It found that it was effective in managing many conditions like anxiety, phobias, depression, PTSD, pain management, insomnia, and even controlling food cravings. It has shown to decrease cortisol levels, and we all know after this class how beneficial that is. It found that it can increase happiness, and what I found very compelling is data that Dr. Peta Stapleton presented in her TED Talk on the issue that said that tapping can alter our DNA profiles. In fact, just 1 hour of tapping can change 72 genes. Dr. Stapleton expressed the belief that a new wave of somatic therapies are being put into practice, and the results so far have been astonishing. She believes tapping will be and should be a big part of the future of body-based therapy options. It's proven to work. Here are some more remarkable benefits of tapping. It's holistic and non-pharmaceutical, non-invasive. You can do this anywhere with no special tools needed. It's affordable, easy to learn with no side effects. And it shows that even 5 to 10 minutes a day is all that's needed to have results. So one big question before we begin is, does it matter what side of the body you're tapping on? And the answer is no, it's really a personal preference. Whether you're right-handed, left-handed, we want you to be comfortable in this exercise. There is no data supporting that tapping on one side or the other is bad, but some people feel by keeping it balanced, you're also working both sides of the brain. And tapping consistently, even daily, can help deter our fight or flight mode and calm our nervous systems. If time is an issue, utilizing this technique for smaller amounts of time throughout the day is still beneficial. So let's get started. The first 3 steps, surprisingly, includes no tapping. So for the first bit, let's make sure that we're in a place that's not distracting for us. We're going to start by thinking of an issue or emotion that is upsetting you. It could be something that causes pain, something that's making you feel anxious or sad, One example that Dr. Stapleton gave in her presentation was thinking of a bad eating habit or a food craving that you want to avoid. Another example I think we can all relate to is anxiety about tests and finals. Once you've identified an emotion, the next step is to rate the intensity of that feeling. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being fine with no bad feelings, and 10 being the worst you could possibly feel, come up with a number and write that down. The third step is to choose your statement or mantra that addresses the issue and has an expression of self-acceptance. Dr. Young states that your statement should be self-reflective about what's going on with you rather than focused on someone else or the environment. An example could be, I'm feeling anxious, but that's okay, and I completely accept myself despite this feeling. You can go ahead and pause this presentation now and work your way through steps 1 through 3. We will now begin our tapping sequence. Most sessions consist of a round that includes 9 tapping points. We will be gently tapping each area 8 to 9 times or more while repeating variations of your statement. I personally like to say my statement at least 3 times, but through this presentation I might be moving faster than what you would prefer, and I encourage you to pause this later and go back through and do them at a pace that feels comfortable for you. To start, use 4 fingers to tap on the side of your other hand just below your pinky. Then you can use 1 to 2 fingers to gently tap through each of these spots. I'm going to take off my glasses for this next part. We will start at the eyebrow near the bridge of your nose. Then to the outer eye on the bone. Underneath your eye, still on the bone. Underneath your nose. Underneath your lip on your chin. Then we'll move on to we'll then move to our collarbone. Just underneath the armpit. And lastly, the crown of our head. It's recommended to perform 5 to 6 rounds of tapping before moving on to the next step. After all the rounds of this exercise are complete, it's time to reevaluate your emotions, and we'll rate the intensity again. If there was no improvement, repeat the steps until your number is lower or you feel better. I hope this encourages you all to try adding this to your routine and see if you find it helpful to your life. If you're interested in learning more on the subject, here are some references to get you started. I highly recommend Dr. Peta Stapleton's YouTube video. Be well, everyone.